Dart Skill presents decimal fractions. Decimal means base 10. When you think of a number in the decimal system or the base 10 system, for example, let's say 4,385, you probably know that starting from the right, the first place is called the units of the ones digit. So this is the ones place, and then you have the tens place or the tens digit, and then the hundreds, and then the thousands, and so on. And then the value of the actual number is the digit that you have in the ones place times 1. So 5 times 1 is 5. Add that to the digit that you have in the tens place. In this case, 8 times 10 is 80. Add that to the digit that you have in the hundreds place with 100. So that becomes 3 times 100, which is 300. And add that to 4 times 1000 in the same way for this particular number, of course. That's how we say that this number is 4,385. So as we move left, starting from the rightmost digit on the number, the value of each digit multiplies with 10. 1 times 10 is 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is 1000, and so on. And obviously, if you want to go from left to right, it means you should divide the place values with 10. So divide with 10, divide with 10, and divide with 10. And something very similar happens when you have digits after a decimal point. For example, consider the number 4,385 point, let's say 1, 2, 3. The first digit after the decimal point has a value of 1/10. The one after that has a value of 1/100. And the one after that has got a value of 1,000, and so on. So the same rules apply on the right as on the left. If you go to the left, you multiply with 10. If you go to the right, you divide with 10. So 1 divided with 10 is 1/10. And if you divide this with 10, you get 100. And if you divide 100 with 10, you get 1000. And then the value of this 1 is 1 times 1/10, which is 1 over 10. The value of this 2 is 2 times 100, which is 2 over 100. The value of this 3 is 3 over 1000, and so on. And we call this one the tens place with the TH, different from this one. This is called the tens place, this is called the tenths place. Similarly, this is the hundreds place, this is the thousands place, and so on. And then the numerical value of this number is the sum of all of these numbers taken together. That's how the decimal system works, or the base 10 system works. Now, if you were to add these three fractions up, meaning change them to the same denominator and all, you would end up getting 123 over 1000. And if you were to add these two up, only the first and the second place after the decimal point, add the fractions up, you would get 12 over 100. So here's something interesting again. If you have only one digit after the decimal point, its value is that number over 10. If you have two digits after the decimal point, the value is that number over 100. If you have 3 digits after the decimal point, its value is that same number over 1000. So it's pretty much the same number over 1 followed by a certain number of zeros, and the number of zeros is the same as the number of digits after the decimal point. So you have 3 zeros after 1 for 3 places after decimal point. You have 2 zeros after 1 on the denominator if you want to change this to a fraction for 2 places after the decimal point, and you have only 1 zero after 1 on the denominator if you want to change one single digit after the decimal point to a fraction. And this actually lets you change a given decimal number or a base 10 number to its equivalent fraction form. Think of the number 25.81. That is equal to the number 25, and this is 2 places after the decimal point, so it's 81 over 100. Similarly, let's say 458.6 is the same as the mixed number 458 and 6 over 10 or 6 tenths. And obviously you could also go the other way, because if you look at this 6 tenths, it means it's a digit in the tens place, so you put a 6 here, and then this 458 is all that you have to the left of the decimal point. So it becomes 458 point, only one digit, that's 6 after the decimal point. Similarly for this one, because there are 2 zeros on this denominator after the 1, you know that there should be 2 digits after the decimal point, so that's a 0.81 and 25 to the left of the decimal point. Consider the number 581 over 100. If you want to change this to its equivalent decimal form, by looking at this 100, 2 zeros after the 1, you know that there are 2 places after the decimal point. Now there are 3 on this number. So how do you put it? Put the 5 on the left and the 81 on the right. So 581 over 100 is equal to 5.81. Similarly, let's say you have 7,896 over 1,000. This time, you know that there should be 3 digits after the decimal point because there are 3 zeros after the 1 on the denominator. So you have something 0.123. And because there are 4 digits on the number, this has to be 8, 9 and 6, and the 7 goes on the other side. And that becomes 7.896. One final word about decimal numbers. You can add as many number of zeros to the end of a decimal number as you want, and the number doesn't change. Consider the number, let's say 1.5. Now this is equivalent to 1 and 5 tenths, right? Only one digit after the decimal point, so you have a 10 over here. Now consider the decimal number 1.50. That's equal to 1 and 50 over 100. And now consider 1.500, add 2 zeros, add as many number of zeros as you want. Now this becomes 1 whole and 500 over 1000. Now if you look at these fractional portions on the mixed numbers, 5 tenths, 50 hundredths, 500 thousandths, they are all equivalent fractions, which means they essentially have the same value. And therefore, after the decimal point, if you split a number into 2 pieces, one on the left and one on the right, on the right you can add as many number of zeros as you want, it's still the same number. 0.5 is the same as 0.50, is the same as 0.500, and so on.